Welcome along to the 8th and hopefully our last video in this series where we are transitioning out of Scratch using block-based code and we're transitioning into text-based code using Python. Okay, what we're going to be doing in this final video is creating something called a spirograph. Okay, it's just a cool pattern using simple shapes. So I'm going to be using squares today to create this really cool spirograph. First thing I want you to do is change backdrop color. So just head over to your stage properties, hit backdrops, and then the backdrops tab at the top, and draw yourself a black rectangle over the top of the page like so. You can then go back to the code tab and click on sprite 1. I would change the sprite size to 30% as well, just so he's a bit smaller and out of the way. If you haven't done so, make sure that you've got the pen extension blocks added in, just by hitting the blue button at the bottom and adding them in. And first up today, we're just going to go to events and bring out when the green flag is clicked. From the pen tab, we're going to erase all, so we've got an empty stage or canvas each time we run our program. We're going to set our pen color up, first of all, here to a limey greeny color, something like so. Doesn't matter what color you choose, you can pick your own if you like. I'm also going to set the pen size up to size 2, just a little bit thicker than usual. I'm then going to change my, we need to lift the pen up first. Then I can change my coordinates to 0, 0, just smack bang in the center of the page, and then put my pen back down again. Once we are in position, we are ready to go. So we're going to start simply by drawing a single square. So using a simple loop, a repeat loop from your control tab there of 4 times, we're going to move forward 100 steps. And then we're going to turn 90 degrees to the left, which is anti-clockwise. And that should get us a single square on the screen. And that's easy enough. Now what I want to do next is repeat that square shape multiple times on the screen, and each time I draw a new square I want it to rotate a little bit more and more to the left. Okay, so we're going to be rotating 12 degrees to be exact to make this spirograph work. So we're going to add in another loop here. Let's bring out another repeat loop, and I'm going to repeat 30 times. What I'm going to do is rotate to the left here, or anti-clockwise, 12 degrees, and I want to put this code just in there, and I'm going to bring this code up in here. So I know it's a little bit confusing, but basically we're going to be repeating this square 30 times, and each time we repeat it, okay, and here it is, you can see it happening, we're just rotating 12 degrees to the left. So that there is an example of a cool spirograph. We can make it even better though by changing its color each time we draw a square. Okay, so the way we do that is simply go back to our pen tab here and look for change pen color by. And I want you to put that underneath the repeat 30. So just here. Change pen color by 10 should be fine. So when you run it now, the color changes each time you draw a square. And that's it. We've drawn a simple square spirograph using pretty basic code there in Scratch. So what I want you to do now is create that in Mu. This is where it gets a little bit confusing, but we'll go and have a crack at it anyway. So let's jump over to Mu and get started by writing from turtle import star. Okay, first thing we're going to do is set our BG color up, which is our background color, to black. So put that inside quotation marks and brackets. We're also going to change the pen size to 2. So that's a little bit thicker than usual. Now we don't need to change our coordinates here. It's always going to start in the middle of the page, so we'll just leave that as it is. Now what we're going to do first of all is draw a square. Okay, a single square. We might put a comment here that says draw a single square. So it's a loop for I in range 4. Put a colon. We go forward 200 steps, and then we turn left 90 degrees. Okay, those 2 indented lines of code will be repeated 4 times to make a single square. Let's have a look and see if that's going to work. We might need to save this first of all as square spirograph. Okay, and nothing has happened yet because I haven't changed my pen color. Probably need to do that first of all. So up here it says pen size. Let's just put color. We'll set it to lime. I think that's a color. Yep. There we go. So we've got our first square drawn on the page. What we need to do now is repeat that square multiple times. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing, a little bit different from what we did in Scratch. Okay, I'm going to go above the code I've already written. And I'm going to write for I in range 5. And put a colon there. I'm then going to make a list of 6 different colors. Okay, and I'm going to write for I in, and then open up square brackets and pick 6 different colors that I want my squares to be in the spirograph. So I've got red, magenta, blue, cyan, oops, green, let's go with that lime green, that looks nice, and yellow. Close off the square brackets and put a colon. Okay, we can then just press delete to bring this up. Actually no, we want to press enter. Right, color I. Now this code we've already written, we need to highlight. This is just drawing a single square, and press tab 2 times just to indent it all the way across over here. Okay, and this is where it gets confusing. So what's happening here is we're going to draw a single square. The first single square that we draw is going to be red. Okay, it's not going to be lime anymore, so we can scrap that line of code. So the first single square that we are drawing is going to be red. Okay, the computer will loop around, and the next square that's going to be drawn is going to be magenta. We'll loop around, it will be blue, cyan, lime, and yellow. The first 6 squares will be drawn. Okay, each with a different color. Once those first 6 are drawn, we go back to the start and repeat it again. Okay, we're going to repeat it 5 times in total. Okay, across 6 different colors. 5 times 6 is 30 times. So we're going to end up with 30 different squares, different colors appearing on the screen. Now to make it into a spirograph, each time we draw a square, we need to rotate or change the angle that we're drawing at just a little bit. Remember that 12 degrees, we changed that in Scratch? We need to do that down here. So we need to turn left 12 degrees. Okay, so we might put in some comments here to just make this a little bit easier to understand. So this will just say change the angle that the next square is drawn at. So that's what that little bit of code does. This little section of code here will draw one single square. This little block of code here is the list of colors to use. So, sorry, these 2 lines here are just picking the colors that we use to draw each square. Okay, and this is the big loop out here. So, draw a square of every color in the list below. And repeat this 5 times. Alright, very confusing, I know. But that should get us drawing a square spirograph. When you are writing this code, have a look at the indents as well. Okay, make sure that you've got the same indents as me, otherwise you're going to run into trouble. Okay, so sometimes you have to press tab to nudge things across a bit further. Just make sure you've got the same level of indentation as I do. I'd also put at the very bottom, hide turtle. Don't forget that. Give it a run. And you can see we turn 12 degrees each time we draw a square. And it's just working its way through that list of colors we've got there. So we've got red first, magenta, which is basically pink, blue, cyan, got the lime green, and then the yellow. Then it goes back to the start and starts drawing them again. And as you can see, that's going to take a fair while. So it might be best to go up the top here and just write speed and set it to 0. Give it another run and you'll see each of those squares happening We'll repeat 30 times. You'll get 30 squares on the page until your spirograph is complete. Okay, so I have left you there with a fairly confusing looking spirograph and a fairly confusing bit of code as well, but hopefully it kind of made sense to you. That's all I'm going to show you now from the transition from Scratch over to using text-based code. The rest of the tutorials that you're going to see are just going to be in Python. Okay, so I'll catch you in the more complex tutorials very soon.